September 24th, 2018 meeting of the Anderson Township Zoning Commission. First thing is get an approval of the agenda. If you regard the agenda, there's some over there on the table. Have a motion?
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Okay.
I should turn this on.
Second.
Okay. Your roll call?
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Ms. McBride?
Yes.
Mr. Gothard?
Yes.
Ms. DiMaggio?
Yes.
Mr. Good?
Yes.
Okay. The second thing then is the approval of the minutes from the meeting of July 23rd, 2018. I believe we have enough people who were at that meeting to take a vote. So do I have a motion to approve the meetings, or is there any changes to the meeting minutes?
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes from July 23rd, 2018.
And I second.
Roll call?
Ms. McBride?
Abstain.
Mr. Gothard?
Yes.
Ms. DiMaggio?
Yes.
Mr. Boone?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes. Great. That takes us to the public hearing of case 1-2018, the final development plan for 7911 Stonegate Drive. We'll start with the staff report.
Thank you. The applicant is the Mayerson Company on behalf of the Anderson Township Board of Township Trustees, who is the property owner. The location is at 7911 Stonegate Drive, and the zoning there is DD, Planned Multiple Family Residence. The request tonight is a review of the final development plan approval to construct 2 apartment buildings with a total of 130 units and 234 parking spaces, and associated landscaping, lighting, zoning compliance with the site plan, and also zoning compliance with the approval of the zone change. A little bit of the site history on this property. The case 1-2018 was reviewed by Hamilton County on March the 1st, 2018. They made a recommendation of approval with conditions to the Zoning Commission on March the 26th, 2018, who recommended approval with conditions to the trustees, who ultimately approved this zone change on April the 19th, 2018. Just to refresh your memory, this is the site in question. It is owned by the township currently. There's a contract to purchase by the applicant. The site is outlined in red, and it is adjacent to the current Stonegate apartment homes to the north. And then to the south is the township property with the salt dome and public works garage. Then, okay, to the east, this is a church here. This is also township property, Nagel, Beachmont Avenue. This is an aerial of the property in question. Again, the township property to the south, the fire station, the public works, public works garage and sheriff's offices, and then the public works storage building. This is the salt dome, Sell Manor, and then this is property owned by Stonegate, or Mayerson, I should say. This is the topography map of the site in question. And this is the site plan that was submitted. The trustees approved the zone change with 11 conditions, which are in your staff report. So the intent of tonight's meeting is to ensure that the submittal before you is in compliance with those conditions that were approved, and then to also address any outstanding issues that the Zoning Commission feels appropriate. So let me just go over the site plan real quick, and then we can go over the conditions. But this is the site plan. The access drive would come in off of Stonegate Drive from the north. It's kind of hard to see, but this is the outline of one of the buildings, Building 1, and then Building 2 is to the south of that. There is a secondary access point to the south that would go through township property through an easement. So there would be one access to the north and then one access to the south. Building 1 is constructed over a partial parking garage. The parking garage is outlined here, and this would be about a half-story below grade. So there is garage parking. There's also single-story garage parking along this portion of the parking lot, as well as carports on the western portion of the parking lot. There is one modification since the approval of the zone change. There originally were parking underneath Building 2. So those have been removed and replaced with the addition of carports or additional garages. So there is no parking underneath Building 2. Everything on the southern portion of the site is in a single-story garage here or carports. The total number of spaces, though, remains the same. And the total number of units also remains the same. This is the landscaping plan. Additional screening has been added on the northern portion of this parking space, which is adjacent to an existing apartment building. This was a concern of the last meeting. Additional screening has also been added along the entry drive to screen an existing apartment building here. The other minimum requirements of the zoning resolution for landscaping has been met in the parking areas. This is the grading plan. As you can see, the detention is proposed along the eastern portion. This was the existing detention basin that will be expanded to accommodate the new development. This is the parking plan so that you can see where the parking garage is. It's partially, it's not the entire Building 1, but it is partially underneath Building 1. So this is a single-story parking garage with, again, the additional spaces to the south and to the north. These are the elevation drawings that have been submitted, which were refined since the original zone change hearing. There has been a mansard roof that has been added to help shield and screen the equipment, the rooftop equipment. This is for Building 2. And then there were color elevations provided in your packet. These are the color elevations that were provided with a mixture of, the building materials aren't labeled on the plans, but hopefully the applicant will go over that in more detail, but a mixture of stone, brick, and siding. Just to refresh your memory on the site photos, this is looking north toward an existing apartment building and toward the township property where it is wooded. The green fence off to the right of the slide is the church property. This is looking from this apartment building looking south at the site. This is the church in the background. This is looking at the location of where the access drive would come out onto Stonegate. So the entrance into these two new buildings would be direct opposite of an entryway to the north. But this is Stonegate Drive. This is off to the distance off of the slide here is the clubhouse. So the main entrance would be right in this vicinity. This is looking at the site, looking south toward Beachmont Avenue, the township property, the Salt Dome and Senior Center. So let's go back to the site plan itself. So in your staff report, we listed the conditions of the approving resolution. So number one was that a landscaping plan be submitted that meets the minimum standards of the zoning resolution. Staff has reviewed this and the landscaping is compliant. Again, additional landscaping was added in this particular area to screen this parking from this building. Additional landscaping was added here to screen this building as well from the curve of the main drive. I did discuss with the applicant screening of this parking area through here. So the carports will provide a screen for the parking lot to the south. And then the applicant was going to discuss whether, actually you added a 4-foot tall privacy fence on top of a retaining wall to screen this parking from the buildings over here. So the landscaping requirements have been met. The lighting plan, there was an area in this portion of the site that was slightly too high, so the foot candles would need to be reduced to 0.1 foot candles at the property line on the southern portion of the site. So that should be done with a resubmittal of the lighting plan. Number 3, the construction limits and temporary fencing shall be indicated as part of the final development plan. That was noted on the site plan that's in your packet. So staff felt that this was compliant. Number 4, the parking area on the north side of the site adjacent shall be setback, meet the minimum setbacks. That parking lot will be, that property line will go away. These parcels will be consolidated, so the setback isn't necessary, but we were still concerned with screening from that apartment building, and they have addressed that with the solid screen of evergreens. Number 5 was concerning the 2 large oak trees out near Nagel, and they have identified those to be saved and protected during construction. Number 6, the left turn lane shall be constructed on Nagel, Stonegate Drive, as recommended by the Hamilton County Engineer, and that is compliant. That is also identified on their plan. The 2 points of access shall be shown on the final development plan and not gated. And the gate, if you'll recall, there was a gate that was proposed off of Stonegate, and that has been removed. Number 8, a cross-access easement to the south be provided to the township to include access and maintenance, and that is in progress. There has been communication between the applicant and the township for that easement. It hasn't been finalized, but it is in progress.
It reads by the township.
Where is it provided? Oh, yes, I'm sorry, by the township, to include access to the south be provided. So an easement is provided by the township to the applicant to allow for access, and then the applicant for maintenance. And that access easement is in progress. Number 3, the Phase 3 be consolidated with the existing Stonegate development, and that is also in progress. They have submitted a consolidation plat to our office for review, and that is under review by the township, so that is in progress. Number 10, the southern access shall be curved on both sides of Stonegate Drive to be striped with a right and left turn on Nagel. And we've discussed that. That is also compliant. The design of the building's landscape plan and lighting plan be submitted for review by the final development plan. So we felt that the zoning commission, since you had the most concerns with the style of the buildings, that could be a discussion for tonight. The items have been added to the buildings, architectural features in different styles. So we didn't put compliant on that. We felt that the zoning commission would discuss that tonight. So I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. I'm sorry, 2 outstanding issues. I hope this isn't making you seasick by me scrolling through this like this. The trash handling area should be completely enclosed. On the site plan, it was showing one side open, so a zoning requirement is that be completely enclosed. We talked about the lighting levels exceeding 0.1 foot candles at the southern property line. And then the parking garage contains compact parking spaces, which is permitted as long as it's approved by the zoning commission as the final development plan. So I wanted to make a note and make you aware of that, and if you were okay with that, that be part of your final development plan review and approval. So do you have any other questions for me?
Okay, let's start with Mr. Boone. I just have one question regarding the turn lane. Obviously, everything's compliant here, so I don't think there's a lot to discuss, but I'm curious, the number of parking spaces, I think you said 234, and plus the existing Stonegate property that has, I don't know how many units, but a number of parking spaces as well. We have the other entrance, I guess. We really can't predict how many people are going to use the Nagel entrance versus the alternate entrance, right?
No, there was a traffic impact study that was submitted with the zone change application, and there was an estimation in that of who would use the Nagel and who would use the other.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of discussion on that, and I think that was one of the reasons why the zoning commission felt that it was appropriate to have a turn lane on Stonegate in addition to the southern access point.
Okay. All right. Just curious. Thanks.
And I should say, as part of the traffic impact study and recommendations of the county engineer, they will be adding a turn lane on Nagel into Stonegate Drive.
Great,
That was also part of the county's recommendation.
good. Okay.
I do have a question. The compact car parking spaces, generally, we do not generally allow that within public parking, correct?
Correct.
But this being a private, I'm assuming it's not public parking, correct?
I don't know if it will allow for non-resident parking or not. So we have, let's see, 2 parking garages in the township, the one at Mercy and the one at the medical office building. And generally, you do have compact spaces or can have compact spaces in parking garage, but our zoning resolution doesn't call that out without going through a plan, either a PUD or, and there's a planned district or a final development plan. So that's why I wanted to call that out in there. But it's the spaces that they are proposing are typical in a parking garage in particular. So that's why we called it out.
Okay. The other question I have deals with the cross-access easement. I know it's in progress. Do we have an idea in terms of time frame, and is there a chance that it will not be granted?
No, I believe it will be granted.
Okay.
There was just some discussion between the 2 attorneys.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner?
No questions. Thank you.
To me?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Paul, did we get elevations for the garages and the carports?
No,
So we don't know what those are going to look like.
unless, do you have it in your, no.
Okay, that's a concern for me, I guess.
Okay.
We don't know what those are going to look like. I think the rest of my questions are for the applicants.
Okay. The only thing I had was also on the cars. Are we suggesting a certain percent of compact car?
They are identifying compact spaces in their garage, and
So the applicant tells us the percentage?
yes,
Okay.
it's mainly only the ones in the garage. I don't think any of the parking lot are actually, in the surface parking,
The underground.
they're
of
the
that.
normal, yes.
All right.
I have another quick question, I'm sorry.
Sure.
And I should know the answer to this, but do we require in parking garages any charging stations for electric vehicles? Or is
Do
it
not
something we've
require
ever
them, no.
considered? Is there anything proposed for any charging stations?
In this development?
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to ask the applicant.
Okay.
Is that good?
Okay, great.
Okay. With that, then we'll ask the applicant to do their presentation, and then we'll open it up for questions. Please state your name, address, and affiliation.
Absolutely. Adam Marison, Vice President of the Marison Company. Our address is 312 Walnut Street, downtown Cincinnati, Suite 3600. And our presentation today was essentially following all of the list of 11 conditions that were presented to us on approval by the Zoning Commission, as well as updated plans as we were refining a lot of details. So I want to double that. So.
Do you have this one here or not? I can turn it.
So here's a zoomed out view of existing Stonegate combined with the new 2 buildings. And you can see the 2 access points of where we're proposing to have the entrances. And then in terms of for the land consolidation, this is what we're intending to consolidate. So just to the north of the 5.672 acres are 2 parcels, and they exist split up because there's a utility easement that runs through here. So they have remained in separate little triangles like that. It's yet to be determined if they'll be part of the consolidation. We're getting there, so very close on finalizing that. But that's how we're envisioning that consolidation to occur. Then here's the site plan showing a lot of the details. So we still have 132 or 130 units, 52 1-bedrooms, 78 2-bedrooms. Our architect group now is M&A Architects. It's no longer CR. So there's a lot of details missed, and not to go into it, but so Building 2 lost its parking on the backside because the square footages were not calculated appropriately. So we had some challenges with ensuring to retain the 130 units. We actually had a loss of 8 units for a period of time there, so I kind of overheard some of your comments about the drive changing a little bit. So in order to get back to 130 units, we had to make a minor modification to Building 1. So it did not get closer to the neighboring single-family residences. So this wing shifted south a little bit, and then the small outjet up to the north here. So those were the modifications we made in order to get up to 130 units. And so the new drive to the garage now swings down this way. So we like the result actually because it kind of creates more of a kind of an intimate courtyard kind of feeling, and the drive up and the approach is going to be a little bit better than what we had originally shown you. And then the single-story garages here, the intention is they will be a single-story pitched roof, and the siding and brick is going to resemble what you will see on the other buildings. So apologize we don't have a elevation of those, but that's what we're intending, that they will mirror and match what you will see for the other buildings. And the carports are just kind of your standard carports. They will have lights running through the middle of them so that they're not dark at night. And then the detention basin here has a retaining wall, and it's about 10 inches or so from where people would park. And then we're putting a 4-foot privacy fence along the top of that, running the full length of it north to south, so that all of the parking you see there on the western side will have that running along it. So the properties to the west won't be dealing with headlights and things of that nature. As for the ratio of compact cars, I didn't run the percentages. Can you? 9 of them?
I counted them as a lot more than that.
Was that?
I counted them,
Okay.
and it turned out to be about 24% of what I saw on the drawing. That's why I questioned it.
Will you try to confirm that? The count? So we'll try to get that answer for you here tonight. So, and as for the question about EV charging capabilities, we have been planning so that we will have the capability of adding that feature if needed. We know it's very more and more common, and so we know it'll be a smart thing to be able to offer to the residents. So if somebody's asking for it, we're planning to have that capability. So there would be some in the garage, and then you can put in these post-mounted charging stations. So out in the surface lots, we can find appropriate areas. So on this is showing the average grade planes for each building. Building 1 average grade is 830 feet, some inches, and building 2 is 827. And so the mansard roof deck is 37 feet 5 inches on building 1, and on building 2 it is 32 feet 11 inches. So we're below the 40 feet requirement on those buildings. That's just a chart of the lighting plan. So when the lighting levels were caught that they were a little too high on the southern side, our lighting company, Leishman, they went ahead and made some adjustments, and they accomplished getting it below the required amount by lowering some wall packs on the southern side here, so the light levels came down to where they're supposed to be. So we are now compliant with that. So on this specific lighting plan down here, everything through that section that was high is now at the appropriate limit.
You are now, but it doesn't show in the final development plan that we were given, correct?
Yes, we have to resubmit that. So when we submitted some other adjusted plans, this one didn't make it in time. So
Okay.
we have it to submit, though.
Thank
Yes. This is the lighting plan, kind of showing some of the landscaping and where we're proposing to do some decorative lighting. So in the kind of walkways and pathways in these kind of courtyard type areas, we're going to have some decorative features and light up the buildings nice. And then around the amenity area and pool as well, there'll be some decorative lighting. All of the lighting fixtures are going to be LED. We don't intend to use any other type of product unless for some reason what we're trying to use in a decorative lighting just doesn't come LED, but the goal is to get to that. Speaking of that, we are looking to achieve LEED Silver. We kind of have done some preliminary studies, and we're already at that level, so there's nothing that is pointing towards us dipping below that, but we'll get there. Construction limits and temporary fencing. So this yellow line right here is representing that buffer line. So the temporary fencing, as you can see, we're not encroaching into that area, so that will not be disturbed. And what's existing along this perimeter right here is mostly honeysuckle and overgrown kind of underlying plant materials. So there's not many large trees throughout that corridor, so we don't foresee disturbing a lot of the really tall, mature trees that are in that area. And here's a color rendering of the landscape plan. As you can see over here, this is the northeast corner of the property. So we're proposing planting some spruces, evergreens types of trees just to kind of reinforce and enhance that buffer between the single-family homes and the property. And then all of the standard landscaping that's required around the parking areas. This does not resemble what we are planting here, but that will be a row of red spruce trees, or red cedar trees to create a buffer there, and then the planting up over here as well. And again, here's the landscape plan just representing all of the plant material. Our intent is to kind of have a low maintenance landscape design so that it just keeps costs low, but also it's a lot of plant materials that are year round. They don't lose their leaves, and trying to create a good environment of feeling kind of buffered and secluded as much as possible. This is all the foundation landscaping that we're proposing around the building. This is building 1. This is the main entrance here. And then on this amenity decking area, we're doing some plantings, but they're all potted, and we'll show you a picture of that later on. This is building 2, one to the south, showing the landscaping all around the perimeter. And this is a rear door here. The dumpster enclosure, it does, on the site plan, it looks like it's not going to be enclosed, but it is. That's something we're actually very particular about. We don't want it visible to residents and seeing trash and all of that. So it'll have a solid gate on the front of it, and that's where the dumpsters will be housed, and then Rumpke will come, pick them up, and then come up through the site back up to Stonegate. This is the grading plan. We just revised and updated with the modification that happened to Building 1. The township easement. So as of this morning, I was discussing with Steve Severs about some of the adjustments that we're needing to make up around the salt dome, just so that the township facility and maintenance staff have enough room to maneuver the equipment to fill the salt dome, most importantly, and then to access it with trucks as needed. So we're working through that. I think as of today, we kind of found the solution, and I'll show you on another slide, but on this one, this is showing that other easement route that is available through Pinnacle Plaza. I'm expecting a executable easement agreement with them by tomorrow morning. So once that's fully executed, we will submit it to you. and it's for this portion specifically. And our easement with the township, let me jump back to this one. Right here, there's an opening that's left open for the recycling center access. So from that portion south will be maintained by the township. Everything to the north, all the way up to here, will be our responsibility. So the existing curbing that runs along here will stay in place until we actually build the sidewalk and accessibility up through the site. And then on the eastern side of this will be a privacy fence, similar to what's there today. And this is just access points showing how the flow could occur for people to access Beachmont in two places, this being a street light, this being not a street light, and of course Stonegate and Nagel. So this is what we were working on today with the township. So there's an existing gate that the easement's going to come through by the recycling center. So we were thinking to relocate it here, and we're going to identify the specific location so that township staff can access the salt dome and can fill it with salt. And then what we did up in just this section here was we made it a little bit more narrow. We shrunk it down 5 feet to allow for appropriate space for township staff. This is yet to be finalized and confirmed. We were working on it today. So hopefully we know this week that this will work. Me and MSP are going to go out on site and spray off where we think the gate should go, and then we'll work with township staff to make sure that that's okay, and then we can finalize the agreement. So that's the last thing we're waiting for to finalize that. And this is the connectivity plan, just showing that this is the pathway for the sidewalk. So connecting it with existing sidewalk up at Stonegate Drive, and then it'll run through the site this way, right down to the easement where the salt dome is. And then the arrows on the southern side, pointing towards SEM and then over to the church, that existing sidewalk is factored into the connectivity plan, so that'll be readjusted at the appropriate time. This is the Nagel Road improvements. Since the last time you saw this, the changes were made by representing the painted and striped turn lanes on Stonegate here. Other than that, no modifications really been made, identifying the large oak tree that's here, and then the other ones this way, right over here. So the existing sidewalk will be reconnected as is after the work is done. This is something you saw before as well, showing the easement access, and then the orange is showing the construction area that we will be working in. And all of this was created from MSP working with Hamilton County. Stormwater management. This was revised just because of the change in building one shape and shifting some things on the site. Other than that, it's just an updated version. This is building 1, floor 1. So this is just showing you how the floors are going to lay out. The blue is 1-bedroom units. The pinkish color are 2-bedroom units. This is the entryway, which will handle all of the mail and packaging. This is an open amenity area. There's going to be, part of that will be a fitness center. Then the rest will kind of be open seating area with kind of a, what I would call, I guess, a breakfast bar with a TV where people can hang out and then go out onto the large amenity space, which we'll show you a rendering of here shortly. So both buildings have an elevator. It's located right here. And this is the trash room, so each building has trash chutes. And then in this building, It goes down into the garage, and then we take it out to the enclosure for pickup. It's the second floor. Each unit has a balcony. That's the third floor. There's building 2. This is the main entrance. This is the rear entrance here. You got stairwells over this way. This is the elevator and trash room over here. So those garages are right out back here. Here are typical 1-bedroom unit and 2-bedroom units. Square footage is ranging from 615 to 750 square feet for the 1-bedrooms. The 2-bedrooms will range from 940 to 1150, excluding the corner units. Every corner unit is a 2-bedroom unit, and that's an example of what it would lay out like. And this one's 1,130 square feet. Every unit has washer and dryer, walk-in closets, your standard kind of market rate kitchens with granite countertops, soft close cabinetry, and a lot of, we're going to have a lot of almost floor-to-ceiling windows to create a lot of natural light in the space as best as possible. So we had shown you a bird-eye view in the previous presentation. This is an updated version of it. You can tell that it's the mansard roof here, so all the mechanicals will be up on top. This is looking north, so this is showing that easement pathway. It's not showing the fence, but I don't have a fence running along this way. So here's one elevation. This is as you come onto the site from the new driveway. So you're looking straight at building 1 here. So the materials are, we're doing a kind of a gray palette right now is where our colorings are at. And so you have in the appropriate kind of entryway points, we have, we're going to do stone, stacked stone, and this is brick, and then we're going to have a fiber cement siding material like a hardy board. It's a very clean, nice, professional looking material. We have photos of example materials later in the presentation. So this is building 2, looking due east at the front. So that's the main entrance here. And so you have stone here and here. This is siding. This is brick. This is all fiber cement siding and through there as well. So these are all the elevations. We'll run through them. And so in here, you'll see some white accenting. And those are fiber cement panels as well, just to kind of break up gray and using a lot of the white trim to help kind of soften it as well. And it'll be your standard asphalt shingles for the mansard roof. This is building 2, main entrance. This will be that kind of courtyard area. And this is the eastern side, eastern side of the building, that rear entryway. And then the garages will be in the forefront. So this is a type of stacked stone material look that we're going to be going for, and this is the brick. And these are the color swatches of the fiber cement siding. Here's a sketch rendering of how we are intending to lay out the outdoor amenity deck. So that exposed garage actually presented a nice opportunity to create a nice outdoor space. So just have some seating area, bar and grilling station, outdoor activity area, There's 2 grills over here near the pool area. All of this is at the same grade, so there are no steps getting over here. And then this is the sidewalk from the northern parking area. And these are cabanas. These are just some example photos of interior amenity courtyards. Just kind of pulled them off from the internet. But some of them have certain components of kind of how we're envisioning designing the inside and designing that amenity space. Using a lot of natural kind of materials, colors. So planter boxes will be used to add some landscaping because we can't plant on top of the roof of the garage, but we're going to intend to have as much green space as possible. And that's it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I'll start with you.
15 total?
Yeah, so it's less than 6%.
6%?
So not the full garage is compact, just
But 6% of all the parking spaces on the entire property?
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay. All right, well, we will start with Commissioner McBride.
Thank you. Just a couple of questions. So the shingles, are those going to be architectural grade or just the flat ones?
Just the flat ones, I believe.
Okay. And so can you
Right.
talk to us a little bit more about the garages and the...
Architectural grade, sorry. Apologize.
Good job. Okay, that's what we like. All right. And the carports, are they going to have a rear wall? I guess that would be the west elevation?
So the wall along the, because that was something we discussed with Paul, is that the wall running the full length of that retaining wall,
Right.
it starts where the carports start, and so that essentially is the backing, as opposed to just doing a backing on the carport and then another fence. So that fence was intending to serve both purposes.
Okay.
So-
So I'm just trying to visualize what the carport is like then. So it's got a flat roof.
Yeah, just slightly sloped so that the water's running off into that detention basin.
Okay. And any storage that's part of that carport, or just, it's
Just
just
your
literally a covered?
It's
parking
literally a covered
space? Okay.
carport.
And then the garages, you said, had pitched roofs, and they're going to be hardy plank, or...
Yeah, combination of the hardy plank, hardy board, and the brick.
Okay, and they'll have doors on them?
Single door garages for each. There's 21 of them total, or
Okay.
no, 18, sorry. 18 of them total. And they'll have like a keypad entry and their own clicker, just like you would at your house.
Okay. Let's see, you're going to be doing that construction fence around the landscaping there on the right. The screening, the roof that's going to screen the mechanicals, is that going to screen them totally? Because it's hard to tell because you didn't put the actual units on the...
Yeah, so it's actually a pretty tall mansard roof from the decking. It's about 9 feet, 10 feet.
Okay.
So it should fully conceal any equipment up there.
Given the three-story height, okay, fine.
Yes.
On the north property line there, you've got the row of the red cypress, I think it is, or I'm sorry, red cedar. Can we break some of that up? I mean, my concern is if something comes in and there's a, red cedar blight or something, you're going to lose that entire row of trees, which you don't want, and,
Sure.
then we got to start all over again with the screening. So I'd rather see the final landscape plan have kind of a mixture of plant material, evergreen, as you intend, but so if something happens, you don't need to do something with that. And, I'm sorry?
Do you know something we don't know about a cedar beetle?
Right here in the jar. No. Then in the northeast corner, you've got 6-foot spruce spotted. Can we do those at 8? Can we negotiate, do those at 8? You got them 6 to 7, so I'm sure we can do 8. And then, let's see, some of the other, the waste, so there's a chute, you said, I think, in Building 1, and Building 2, an area, and you guys will collect it and then take it out to the...
Yeah, so it'll be a vertical compactor. So
Okay.
Building 1 has, Rumpke offers it's a 4-ton vertical compactor specifically built for situations like that. So it'll get collected down there, put in hoppers, or, sorry, not in hoppers, the container comes off of it, and then that gets taken out to the enclosure out on the surface parking area, and then we have an extra that gets swapped out.
Okay, so in the enclosure, then it's really a dumpster, it's already been through the compact?
Correct.
Okay, because the site plans say compactor there. And
Oh.
I'm like, how are you doing?
Sorry, that's an error on our
Yeah, that
part.
would not be good. So,
Yeah,
okay,
no, no.
That's fine, I just wanted
Yeah.
to make sure. You said that obviously it's going to have gates, because I'm sure you guys want that as much
Correct.
as we do. Let's see, what else did I have? I think maybe that was about everything. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner? I'm sorry.
Mr. McBride, the increase in size of this, which
In the northeast corner, there are spruce that are planned for there, and they're marked 6 to 7.
northeast one? Okay, thank you.
Those ones adjacent to the, or closest to the single-family residence is the ones I'm concerned with.
Is that what-
Yeah, I think there's only like 6 or 7 trees, so it's not a big,
7 to 8 feet tall?
8 feet, they're marked 6 to 7.
Mark says it's 8 feet.
Okay, Commissioner Boone? I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
You're really scrambling it up here tonight, aren't you?
Make sure everything.
I just have one question. It says an amenity deck with pool is also proposed, and we saw the examples, obviously, looks very nice. Is that an absolute going to happen, no doubt about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to confirm that.
I mean, there would be some unknown thing at this time that would cause us not to put a pool in.
Okay.
Because the pool that exists today, it's just not large enough to handle more
Right.
residents, so
That's-
we
yeah.
want to put another one, so.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's it for me.
Okay, I'll volunteer. Who wants to-
I've got a couple questions. The dumpster enclosure, talk about enclosed 3 sides, 1 gated. Material, the ungated sides, will that be the brick to match the parcels? Okay. Have an idea of rental rates that you're going to be proposing for the project?
So you have Avalon at the point over in Eastgate, and then they just opened Echelon, so it's going to be very comparable to that. So the range is a mid $950 a month and can go up to $1,500 and maybe more. But that's what we're targeting.
And got the questions about the garages and carports. The mansard roof, you stated a elevation of those. Is that to the ridge of the roof, the very top, or is that to the average of the mansard?
The heights I mentioned,
Right,
that is to the mansard roof deck.
to the deck of it?
Yes.
Okay, so
So
the actual peak of the mansard is at
we
what
have some of
elevation?
those for you. So the edge of the roof line around Building 1 is 40 feet around the edge and perimeter of Building 1. Building 2, 37 feet 9 inches. And then at the tallest peaks, Building 1, you have 46 feet, and then there's a top peak, which is a point over one of the corner units that looks to be 50 feet, 2 inches.
So really, the overall height of the building, it does exceed the 40 feet?
No, we're compliant with the zoning resolution. So the slope of the mansard roof, right now, it is set to be at that type of slope, which does create some higher peaks, so that is something that could be looked at.
Looking at where the pool is and previous discussions of the noise to the sort of single-family residences, I know you're keeping that large buffer. Are you looking at any other landscaping between the buffer and the amenity deck and pool area? Or are you totally relying on the deciduous trees that are there?
Well, we're relying on that, but then what we've been discussing in terms of the area surrounding the pool, the railing, and the fencing that we're going to have to put up, we've been discussing a privacy-type fence, so that would help. But we usually have hours of where you can't go in the pool after 10:30 or 10 o'clock, and so that exists today at Stonegate. So,
But seeing some of the other amenities out there, the bar, et cetera, would those hours be the same as the pool hours?
yeah, that's how Village Green handles that. So if if residents are going in there after hours, that's something that we manage, but we usually establish hours around use, so.
Would you be willing to increase the spruce and follow those a little bit farther south?
Well, so that northern corner there is very dense. It's very dense. I don't have the photo in the PowerPoint, but I have a bunch on my phone. So in that corner up there, there's, majority of the trees in there, by the way, are black locust and I think oaks. So we had an arborist take a look at that section. But on,
That's a pretty good photo there.
so right here, this section is the section we were just discussing. So the way that temporary fencing runs is that what you see is not to be interfered with. And a couple of those are locusts that are 30, 40 feet tall, and then it's just a lot of really thick, overgrown honeysuckles. So we foresee that we wouldn't have noise issues, but
Is that the trees as they exist today? Is that an artist's rendition?
no, that's how they exist today. So I have photos on my phone, so now during the summertime, it is a very thick area. And then in the wintertime, photos you saw in the staff report, that overgrown underlying trees and honeysuckle, and it generally is no lower than 15 feet. So even in wintertime, you have a decent buffer for views. Yeah. Well, this is an arborist report that we had done, and those are some photos that she took from standing in the buffer zone over there. And this area is that corner that we were just discussing. It's not the best photo for it, but so in here she determined that 58% of the trees are black locust, 25% are red maple, and then the rest are 3% bold elder. And we were kind of happy to see that only 3% were ash, so that was good. There's only 2 of those, so it should last a long time. But
So from the consolidated parcel to Nagel, will that still be Anderson Township owned right now? Okay.
correct.
I guess this commission member would like to see a little bit between the 2 Norway spruces next to the amenity deck. I'd like to see, some more evergreen trees planted in that area.
Okay.
I know myself, a nice winter day where the leaves are not there, that could still be used, I think. Right. And then the 20-foot drive at the Salt Dome, I know that, was this a meeting from this morning from what you stated? Does everyone feel comfortable with 20 feet, in essence, 2 10-foot drive lanes at really an intersection of everything going on right there?
Well, so that was a suggestion given to us by the township. So we created that cross-section for the discussions, but also to share with you tonight. So I guess if speaking for our engineer, he didn't like that.
Okay.
But that's just where it stands today, so we're trying to work with what the township needs. So we hope that with the gate and pinpointing where that'll be and having the facility maintenance staff take a look at that, we hopefully can widen it some. It might not go back to the full 24 feet or 25 feet, but that's I think the best result that we're hoping for.
And then, do you have an idea of the number of stack cars from the left turn lane from Stonegate to Nagel, and then from Nagel to Stonegate? How many car stacking you would have there?
I don't have those counts, but what was, because the Stonegate was not, painted and striped yet. waiting on, I guess, the county, but let me pull that up.
That's why I keep all my presentations to 5 slides.
Yeah, I think we should have numbered them.
Just kidding.
So on here, in terms of kind of how far back where the tapering starts, I mean, I can't speak to it, but, I mean, it's probably a handful of cars.
Looks like equal coming from Nagle onto Stonegate, as far as looks like an equal sort of distance.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Well, just to comment on that, we've kind of understood if, talking to residents about this and just our own kind of research into it, is people are primarily wanting it for the right turn. So we have this feeling that majority of traffic is making a right on a Nagle as opposed to a left. So we hope that to be true.
When they're leaving.
Correct, when they're leaving.
Yes, I think the intent was if one's turning left, it doesn't stack up multiple cars that are truly wanting to turn right.
Exactly. Which exists today.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Commissioner?
It's an advantage going last.
Oh, you're not.
Questions?
No, I'm last.
Oh, sorry. Just for my own knowledge, I'm going to assume the single garages are part of somebody's lease, correct? As well as the carports?
No, carports will just be come as you go, first come, first serve.
And the same thing then will hold true with the garages underneath the building?
The garage underneath the building will be gated and it'll be access controlled. So if you live in that building or, well, theoretically you could live in the other building too and have a space, but the intent is you can't get in that garage unless you have a parking space.
That kind of negates the whole compact car, at least in my head.
Sure.
And that's all I have. Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
I'm going to ask you to flip through the slides, and go to the one where you're talking about the easement that you're negotiating, then maybe tomorrow morning.
This one?
The bigger picture, where it goes through there you go, right there.
That one? Okay, let's-
Back one. There you go. All right, so when we had public opinion and all, there was a lot of concern. I believe there's a dance school or something in there, and there was concern. You're coming down and exiting behind the former Applebee's, I guess. What prevents people from driving closer to the building toward the Ollies and the dance school?
So the way, when they redeveloped that parking lot for Fresh Time, so all of these curbing and all those sections of curbing were put in, and it is, it does have striping down the middle, I believe. So it does
As a
denote-
crosswalk, or is
No,
nothing to prevent you?
it has striped separation for the right and left lane. So it almost looks like a road.
Okay.
When you go through there. So it's kind of clear that you need to stay in your lane. It's the best way to put it. So that's the best way I can answer it.
Okay. And then, again, go back to the other slide. On the one to the right, I believe, and maybe this is for Paul, that's a right turn only on the beach one? It's not,
So
this,
The easternmost one.
I believe it's,
that's a full access,
left and right?
left and right. That's a full access. That goes in between the Township building and the Forest Hill School District offices. So
But there's
that's a
no light.
full, that's no light, but full access. There is a right in, right out to Fresh, or former Fresh Time.
Right, from Beachmont heading,
Correct. And
West.
then same for the school district. That has been modified as well. That's not a full access either anymore.
okay. The other question I had was also a point of contention was the traffic study that was done. Is there an updated version with the modifications you've made or anything?
no, our parking counts didn't change. So the parking count stayed the same from the last time. So comments that I'm recalling were, well, discussions were around the hours that they were done.
Correct. It was done very early in the morning and very,
Yeah, so-
past the school
saying
day.
that it should be more than 1 hour, that'd be 2, but we didn't update it because the parking counts didn't change.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This time I'll open it up to the Commissioners, are we having discussion amongst ourselves?
We have somebody else coming.
With this being a final development
There's
plan,
no
there's
public-
not an opportunity for public comment.
So, anybody? Want to go back to staff for any additional follow-up questions, or?
Nope.
This time, if there's no discussion among the commissioners, I will entertain a motion.
I will-
You always do good.
Writing.
Yeah.
I
Great
would-
motion.
Are you ready?
I've got notes for you too, so you're good.
Thank you.
I would make a motion that we approve Case Anderson 1-2018 final development plan for the property at 7911 Stonegate Drive with the following conditions: that a revised photometric lighting plan that complies with the township requirements be submitted for staff review and approval, that the construction fencing be in place on the east property line to preserve the existing tree cover prior to any construction happening on the site, that the evergreens that are proposed for the northeast corner of the property are extended to the south, and that those spruce trees also be planted at 8 feet as opposed to the 6 to 7 feet that were proposed, that the red cedar trees that were proposed on the north property line between the proposed parking area and existing multifamily residential, instead of being all red cedar, become a mixture of non-deciduous plant material along that area, that the proposed waste enclosure be brick to match the brick used on the buildings on 3 sides, and solid gates on the 4th side, which are to remain closed except during service, that we approve a total of 6% of the parking spaces on the entire site would be compact spaces, and that they would all be located within the parking structure, that the proposed garages would have pitched roofs, and that the exterior would be constructed of brick and siding to match the building with a retractable door on the 4th side, that all of the siding to be used within the development would be fiber cement siding, and that all of the shingles that are to be used within the development would be architectural dimensional shingles.
Do we have that?
Can you repeat the part about the garages? That the 6% of the spaces on site be compact and within the,
And that they would be included within the parking
Within the
structure.
parking garage itself. And then you had, after that, you had that the
Garages would
single-story garages be
have
brick
pitched
with
roofs, and they would be
pitched roofs.
constructed of brick and siding complementary to the existing building
To
with
existing.
retractable door on the 4th side.
Okay.
All right. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. McBride?
Yes.
Mr. Gothard?
Yes.
Ms. DeBaggio?
Yes.
Mr. Boone?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes. Great, and thank you, and I enjoyed reading the completeness of what had, transpired in the other meetings we've had, so thank you for your efforts. Okay, at this time, do we have something on the agenda for next week?
We do. It'll be October the 22nd, I believe. We're expecting 1 to 2 cases.
Okay, great. This time I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Second, roll call.
Ms. McBride?
Yes.
Mr. Gothard?
Yes.
Ms. DeBaggio?
Yes.
Mr. Boone?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes, thank you.